We're back. The Draft Rankings podcast is back. This time we're talking about wide receivers and tight ends. I'm Cody Carpentier, joined as always by the main man, Matty Key Woom. And we're back. We're ready. It's Thanksgiving week. Starting to warm this baby up. Starting to get after. Starting to get active. Matty, I was recently at Lambeau Field.
Rough game.
It was a rough game, but I watched some good weather. Well, so here, good weather. We'll just say that good weather this weekend
for Lambeau, right? I can
43 degrees at kickoff.
Pretty good
in late November at Lambeau. I will say I wanted snow, but I was happy it wasn't snowing. I'll be honest.
Snow's good in theory.
Had a couple Bloody Marys,
rough in real life,
and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Met a couple of Packer fans that gave me some nips of Fireball.
Supposedly the nicest fans in the NFL, from what I gather.
Pretty solid. I got a little sarcastic heckling on the way out,
which is fun. That's a fun kind of heckling.
A little, but it was like provocative. It was a little bit like you could tell it was like, they were not sober, and they were like, they were like trying to get you to go like, like start cussing at them and try to they're trying to provoke you. And
they won. They have the right. They have the right
to
be their home turf.
They won, dude. They kicked the snot out of Minnesota. That was the worst game I've seen them play in a minute. But it's a good weekend. Got to go see Lambeau Field. Got to go home. Got to see some family, and now we're back on a beautiful, recording here on Tuesday afternoon before Thanksgiving. Another week of family and football for everybody out there. And really kind of the marker in the point of the season for those that work in both the fantasy football and the NFL draft side of the conversation, kind of a marker that, you tend to people hit a wall for the fantasy football conversation and you push through, and it's like, that's when you make the playoffs, yada, yada. And then for the NFL draft, it's been warm, but it starts to get hot. It starts to heat up fast as soon as Thanksgiving kind of comes through. So, Matty, we've talked about quarterbacks. We've talked about running backs. We've done some mocks. You got a mock that did it drop? Has it dropped at this point, or is it dropping tomorrow?
As of this moment in human history, I don't believe it has.
Okay. So we're waiting on that thing to drop, but that's going to drop over at playerprofiler.com. And you're going to be able to get Matty Kiewum's latest NFL mock draft. It'll also be up on X at Matty Kiewum. But we're fully into it. And today we're 10 toes down talking about the top pass catchers, receiver and tight end today. So let's just get right at it. Receivers. This class has kind of circled one player for the majority of, I guess, the last year. Jordyn Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State. That's kind of been the name of conversation. He's the one getting mock drafted right now in the top 10. It's not every year that a receiver gets drafted in the top 10, but it feels like the last 5 or 6 years, it's been every year. Do you believe Jordyn Tyson at Arizona State deserves to be a top 10 pick, Matty? I'm just going to start with that blanket statement because we haven't even talked about these guys at all.
Yeah. So where I have him graded currently is an early first. So take that what you will. Do you want to make it top 10? Fine. The true nature of the grade probably puts him, if I had to be nitpicky, 13 to 15, 16. But top 10 is fine with that if that's what a team is looking to make. What we know about wide receivers in general, right, is they always have a ton of helium. They tend to run, if they run faster, if they come in bigger, if they run a good gauntlet, if they interview well, if they have a great Senior Bowl. Like, these guys tend to get elevated. We see anywhere from 4 to 6 taken in the first round. So if he goes top 10, I'm okay with it. He's currently not my wide receiver one. Yeah. But there's a lot to play out. I have Mekhi Lemon at wide receiver one. He just grades a little bit higher. But I am kind of giving Lemon maybe a little bit too much credit. Like, I got him running in the low 4.4s. If it's high 4.4s, that's going to weigh into the process, of course. But as of right now, these are the two clear-cut, 1-2 for me. Mekhi Lemon and Jordyn Tyson. But Tyson being a top 10 pick is absolutely possible with teams drafting in that area. We had him go in our mock last week in top 10. So it's not crazy.
So the biggest thing I think with Tyson that has yet to be really heavily emphasized is I guess the last couple of years of his existence, which is
You see him coming. I mean, that has to factor into your evaluations. The guys you see coming, and we talk about it all the time here on TDR. Like, scouts in the NFL don't start picking up their notebooks in August of every year. This is a 3-year, 5-year rolling process, and guys who are on their radar for years tend to have more thorough scouting reports. We've known him coming, so he is going to get that boost.
But that's not the whole angle I was taking. My thing is he started out at Colorado. He was there before Dion got there.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't Louis, and he wasn't
he wasn't Versace, whatever it was.
He wasn't the bag.
He wasn't Gucci.
That was staying. He wasn't the Gucci. He wasn't the Louis. Yeah, that stayed in Colorado, and he transferred. He played 9 games as a true freshman, 2022, had 22 catches, team leading 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, transfers out. And his head coach, his receivers coach at Arizona State was Hines Ward, who his mantra is no block, no rock. So you kind of got to be at least an adequate blocker to get on the football field. And a lot of these college coaches that are high level have kind of taken that mantra. It's been a Texas thing as well for the last couple of years under Chris Jackson. The thing with Jordyn Tyson, though, that I think is interestingly under-discussed is the injuries. So he transferred. In this modern day, it doesn't really matter. But from an injury perspective, you go back to 2023, or when he left Colorado, he had the ACL, MCL, and PCL tear. He missed 2023 season at Arizona State. Last year was really when he popped onto the screen, broke his collarbone late in the year. He missed the playoff game against the Texas. And that was like, well, dude, who would know what if Arizona State could have won that game if they had Jordyn Tyson? And he was looked, that's going to be the top receiver next year. And then this year, he has a hamstring injury. He's missed a couple of games. And so the injury bug is going to be attached to him. I don't think this is going to, people often, you're either on the side of injuries are predictable or they're, hereditary, or like they're going to continue to carry with you throughout your career, or you're of the belief of it is what it is. These are soft tissue issues. These are a multitude of things. You broke a bone, you tore a ligament, soft tissue, like it's across the board. I'm a little worried about it. And he doesn't profile to me like a guy like Mekhi Lemon or like a guy like Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Those two guys to me, and I guess we could talk about this class as kind of top down, and I don't think that there's a superstar in this group. And I think people think Jordyn Tyson's a superstar. I don't think that there is a superstar. And now when I say superstar, like, I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown is a superstar, right? I think Jamar Chase, I think Justin Jefferson, I think Malik Neighbors. Like, there's a difference, and this is kind of like the alpha conversation, the alpha or beta conversation. Like, I call T. Higgins, like, right, the beta alpha, because he's 6'4", he's 205, 210. He's an alpha prototype, but he's a beta in an alpha's body.
Yeah.
So he doesn't play like, he doesn't play like Kelvin Johnson. He doesn't play like Brandon Marshall. He doesn't play like those guys. He's big body, can do a lot. But, right, if he was an alpha, he'd be a 180 target guy, and Jamar Chase wouldn't be a Triple Crown winner. That's kind of my point of view with that. And so when I say that, I don't think there's a superstar in this group. I think there's a lot of really good receivers, a lot of guys that you can go and pound the table for and push the chips in and go, I definitively know that I think we can get, we can bale the hay and we can get it in the barn with Mekhi Lemon and Carnell Tate. I think Chris Bell. I know Kevin Concepcion. I even like Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama. Like, so we'll talk about these guys, but I'm just like listing names off where I think that even those guys at a base level are going to be really, really good pros, right? And I just, as an overview of the class, don't think that there's a superstar in the group. Does Tyson have the qualities to potentially be that? Yes, but I'm not sold yet.
Yeah, when I look at this class, I think it could be good. I think it could be really good. But I think where the strength lies in this class is the elevation, the development, the success of guys like Zachariah Branch and Nick Harbor if he comes out, Jacoby Lane, like you mentioned, Jeremy Bernard, Chris Bell. If these hit, then this class it gets pretty good. But I agree. I don't think there is a superstar. Like, I see Mekhi Lemon potentially being a Jalen Waddle if he is as fast as I kind of see. But there's a lot to be achieved there. If he runs closer to a 4.5, then he's not Waddle. and then that even loses that appeal of the class. I like players in this class. I think there's a lot of dogs in this class, a lot of big-bodied receivers. I think there's going to be it's going to be a fun class to dive into. But you're right. I don't see a superstar. I don't see a Malik. I don't see a Rome Odunze. I don't see a Marv. I don't see a Tet. I don't see anything happening. And I think the comparison will be made to the 2023 class. The problem with that class is you and I were saying it back then. You can look at the tape. There was a superstar in that wide receiver class. We thought there was too. We took a couple of years for JSN to become that superstar, but we were calling JSN the superstar. We understood what his potential was. We all said about Zay Flowers, call him a superstar or not. That's up to you. I think he's been a damn good NFL
in the
receiver.
right offense. Zay's
He's proven he's awesome. If he got volume, if he got his Ben Roethlisberger the way JSN got his,
AB was the comp. AB was the answer.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so I think that the lazy comparison will be the 23 class because we didn't see a guy come off the board till 20. So we just, we look back, there's no superstars. QJ, no superstar. But I don't know. Addison, JSN, and Zay Flowers are pretty good NFL receivers. I think
she's pretty damn good too.
Right, and I think that this class can end up being a little like this, but I don't see there being superstars. So I guess it's a long-winded way of saying is it could look like the 23 class on the surface, but there aren't any JSNs, there aren't any Zay Flowers, as of right now for me. So I think it could even be worse than the 23 class.
Yeah. I'm just looking back at like the history of classes. Even if you go back to 22 the year before, like you had those 4 dudes in the top 12 and they weren't, they're not today. Drake London gets targeted. Don't get me wrong. Like he's a good receiver, but he's not a superstar. Garrett Wilson, I think, has the qualities to be.
Yeah.
But he's in New York. Chris Olave, we knew he was going to be Mr. 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy. And then JMO has finally cracked through in the last month. And then he had a donut this week. But like that class too, like a lot of high-end draft, a lot of top 12 picks. None of them super.
Dotson went that year too, right? Wasn't Dotson the 11th overall pick in that class? Maybe
Dotson was 16, and then you had Treylon Burks who was 18. So you had 6 dudes in the top 18. So 33% of the picks. Right,
fool's gold. This class does have a little bit of fool's gold potential, right?
It's also got we're not going to get 20 deep today, but there's some dudes at the bottom of this thing. If you're just looking straight up at like mock draft database and where these guys are going right now, like there's some burners too. There's some speed. Mm-hmm. There's some Skylar Bell from UConn is a guy that, the UConn team's under discussed. That quarterback has had a great year, but Skylar Bell is now been named a finalist for the Blitnikoff Award next to Jeremiah Smith and Mekhi Lemon. Skylar Bell made that list, not Danny Scudero, the guy from San Jose that had, 397 receptions. Skylar Bell from UConn. He's in this class as well. Zachariah Branch, you brought up before. I 100% believe Zachariah Branch is going to be in this draft because he's been a guy that's 3 and done.
Yeah.
From Georgia. Brennan Thompson, a guy that's going to run probably a 4.27, 4.26 from Mississippi State. Like there's some burners in this class, and there's also some guys that haven't really done a lot the last couple of years that are going to that have potential to be like, Jalen Naylor type players, guys that eventually get to Keyshawn Bouttes. Like in year 3, they get through Aaron Anderson from LSU, Deion Burks from Oklahoma. Like this
Marion Brown from LSU. You want to talk about burner? That guy could maybe break 4.3.
Brown burner with the younger breakout from Kentucky before he transferred. Like it's a deeper class, I think, is where it's going to get the bulk of it's going to come from. Not the bulk of it's going to come from, but where some of
the value we'll look back on this class and it'll be either a decent class or it could be a really good class based on the guys you're talking about, these later round picks.
Yeah,
like the Chase Roberts, Lance's brother, Bryce Lance. Like, these guys are talented. We'll see how it shakes out. I don't think that necessarily the best guy is gonna guaranteed be the first rounders. I don't think that's a given at this point in time.
I would agree with you. So let's just do a quick top down. You don't just do top down, top 5 or what? Just talk about some of our guys that we have in that top. To me, it's
let's do it. Let's do a quick top 5, and then we'll each give an additional guy that we just had to bring up.
I was gonna say, I'll be honest with you right now. To me, I got 4 dudes probably 5 dudes in that first tier, and I think there's 3 others I could put in that tier.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want these numbers to be concrete or thought of as concrete.
If anyone says that's crazy, it's Thanksgiving. It's so early.
Yeah, but internet exists.
We have a show to do today.
So here's my 5 in the top tier right now. Jordyn Tyson from Arizona State, who we just talked about. Makai Lemon from USC, who you brought up, 5'11", 195 from USC. Carnell Tate from Ohio State. I think, not really a lot needs to be said. He's in that pedigree. He's in the Heartline system. McLaurin, Wilson, Olave, like he's in that mold. Jeremy Bernard, Alabama. I put him in this group. I love Jeremy Bernard. I've thought, as much as we like Ty Simpson, that we should be giving Jeremy Bernard some flowers. I mean, Ryan Williams hasn't had that great of a year. And I think a lot of it comes because of Jeremy Bernard having a good year. I think Bernard's like the quintessential second-round pick. And I think there's, plus next to that as far as what I think he can be in the NFL. And then I'll put Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M as my 5th guy in the first tier right now.
So I like the 2 players that you brought up, Casey Concepcion and Jeremy Bernard, both in my. They're both in my top 10. I would call them. I don't know. I haven't really tiered it out, so I don't know what tier. 2, 3, whatever. But the 2 guys that I have in my top 5, because I share the same top 3: Lemon, Tyson, and Tate. What do you think Tate runs? Because if he's fast,
I don't know if he breaks 4.54.
What did AJ Green run?
4.5. Oh God, 4.5, right there.
Because it's tough to not see a little AJ Green when you watch Carnell Tate.
Wait, AJ Green or AJ? You said AJ Brown the first time.
I meant AJ Green.
Oh, AJ Green. I think AJ Green was in the.
He was fast.
Yeah.
Which is why AJ Green was special. So I'm not calling Carnell Tate's AJ Green level special, but if he's faster than that, if he is a fast guy, if it's he pulls an Adonai Mitchell,
4.5 flat.
AJ Green.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I feel good about this. Then I feel good about myself right now. So anyway, that's my top 3. My 4 and 5 guys you didn't mention: Denzel Boston, Elijah Surratt. I talked about Elijah Surratt last when we talked about the mocks. I'm at 5. That's going to be a hefty ranking throughout the process. I know it, because when you watch this guy, you watch Surratt. I just don't see the combine process working in a guy like that's favor. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see any helium in that regard. Where I do and am very much looking forward to some potential helium is down in Mobile.
Ooh, yeah.
Down at the Senior Bowl. Because he is a dog. We'll watch it. He will be the guy that takes some of those one-on-one reps against opposing number 1 corners. He will be the guy that wins some of those matchups, because his ability to, use his body and control kind of his route and make himself available for his quarterback, I do think can work. I do think that's an NFL level talent, skill set, but he doesn't have the burner. He's not going to be the ultimate separator. But this guy, it can win in ways, the big bodied receiver can win in the NFL. But again, I don't think it's gonna be good for the process. I just want to get him in my top 5 because I like the player. But Denzel Boston is a guy I do see testing a lot better. I do see him getting helium, in Indy, potentially breaking 4.5. If that's what he trains for, I kind of looks like a 4.55 guy on tape, but I'm not great at that. So if he's faster, so he's another one that is shown to be pretty dynamic with the ball in his hands, despite his size. This is another bigger receiver, 6'4", 210 pounds. So Denzel Boston's a guy I do have in my top 5, but Concepcion right there at 6. I see it. Again, we were talking earlier about guys you've seen coming. Concepcion's been on the radar for years, and it's finally kind of coming to something. I do see some of his not separation skills in terms of the separation metrics. I meant more of what separates him from some of the guys in the class is starting to be noticeable. So top 5 helium is absolutely on the table. And Jeremy Bernard is just, when you watch him, it's like he looks like an NFL player.
Right?
He just looks the part. And sometimes, I get accused of helmet scouting. I get accused of all that stuff. I don't care. Process the process. When you turn on an Alabama game and you see 6'1", 205, he looks bigger. Like he looks bigger. So if he is throughout the process coming in a little heavier than the program says, and he is that athlete, it's going to be so tough to not elevate him in my ranks as well. But I got him at 8. So again, I like the player. The guy that splits the two, we'll talk about him quickly. Chris Bell. You want to talk about AJ Brown,
dude?
You want to talk about AJ Brown? It's like he could be AJ Brown, but he is at Louisville. And he's playing against Louisville players. He's not in the SEC where A.J. Brown was. A.J. Brown was also a second rounder. So I don't know how the NFL is going to see this kid. And the draft capital, of course, comes into the process at the end. But through my evaluation, as of right now, I see a lot of potential in Bell. So that's my top 8 right there. The 5 we've talked about, in the 3 we agree on.
It's funny. The 2 guys. So one guy we didn't bring up yet. I'll drop his name here, but 2 guys that you brought up, Bell and Boston, are 2 of my next tier, and then the only other guy that's in that tier is Jacoby Lane from USC. Jacoby Lane, sorry, from USC.
Jacoby Lane, yeah.
I would put him in that next tier as well. So there's your big, massive group of names, and I think that idea that we're starting with just explaining our kind of top set of dudes.
Yeah.
Whilst also name dropping about 10 other guys that are like outside the top 80 or 100. I think it gives you an idea of the density of this class, where I think it's going to lack a lot in the running back room. And maybe from a total numbers of running backs drafted number, I think the receiving class is going to only continue to elevate. And, it's not going to be the superstar quality, but it's going to be, I think you're going to get a lot of value in that, the 4th and 5th round, as well as having some guys that are consistent up here at the top. I was going to say something. Oh, Chris Bell. Chris Bell, according to NFL Mock Draft Database, the Louisville wide receiver, since August 16th, his mock draft projection has jumped from 159 overall on August 16th to 32nd as of today, November 25th.
That's the AJ Brown trajectory, right? I mean, Brown went early round 2, 32nd pick, puts you at the end of round 1. It's just Chris Bell. Chris Bell, you don't have to be an expert to understand why Chris Bell is appealing. 6'2", 220 pounds, probably going to run a low 4.4.
I think so.
Like.
That's a burst guy. Yeah. Another speed guy that we didn't bring up was Chris Brazzell. That guy was at Tulane for a couple of years, and there was a lot of upside there. And I'm not, the Tennessee thing is.
That's all it is. And I'm sorry, it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. That is all it is. I've just been burnt so many damn times by Tennessee athletes. I'm just not going to do it again. I'm just not. And it's not that I hate Brazzell. I got him at wide receiver 11 right now.
Yeah.
But
he's just 6'5".
I see him fall.
Pounds is a tough projection to the league. It's the Dante Thornton.
It's just, we hear it every year. Cedric Tillman. How many times do I have to hear that this big athletic guy from tight end is going to do it in the NFL, only for him just to not have that NFL it quality?
Tennessee and TCU.
Tennessee and TCU.
Ship them off.
Ship them.
Savion Williams could be the best receiver we've seen from either school in the last 5 years, and he's not doing anything in Green Bay right now.
He's a gadget guy.
All right, tight end. This one's a little more straightforward to me at the top. Like it's quick, just like it feels like it drops off quick.
Calling a spade, this tight end class might just stink. I hope all the kids get drafted. I hope these kids do well in the NFL. All the good vibes. This class stinks.
Oh, can I ask you this question?
Shoot.
November 25th. We'll come back and clip this 1 year from now. The 2026 NFL Draft tight end class. Now, mind you go back the last couple of years at the tight end position. Tyler Warren, is having a hell of a year. Brock Bowers, 1,000 yards. Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, Kyle Pitts. We're on a track here for 5 straight years where we've had a stud as a rookie. We might get a stud. Maybe. But Matty Kiwoom, I'm going to set the number for total rookie tight end receiving yards. Every tight end is eligible. Total receiving yards.
Combining 999.5. Is there 1,000 yards receiving between all the tight ends in the class?
All of them as rookies.
Yes, but if you had said 1,200, I would say no.
I don't know how you get in there. I think that there's 2 guys that can carry this that are if this goes right, I think 2 guys are like 50%, 60% of the yards.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's why that was the difference to me. I can close my eyes and see an outcome where Sadiq has 650 and Stowers, yeah, but I mean, he's as of now, Sadiq is on a trajectory to be a first-round draft pick. He's going to be fast. He's balling out when it matters most. He's on the highlights. Sadiq's helium is going to get out of control. It's going to be top 10 probably if throughout the process. I don't think it is. I have him graciously ranked as a top 45 pick. I think he's a good starter. But I think he gets the helium to be first-round pick. And with that comes a role. With that athleticism, I think 500-600 yards is possible. 400-500 yards is possible for Eli Stowers. But if you were to say 1,200, and I'm thinking 7-5, 8-4, I can't.
You got the whole rest of the class too. Like you're gonna have guys with like 75 yards.
Right, and I'm trying to dink and dunk my way there.
I'm just saying, like I think it's a tough conversation to say. And Stowers from Vanderbilt and Sadiq from Oregon are the 2 guys. And I'm like. Man, Sadiq is listed right now 6'3", 245. I'm like, this guy's probably not going to be 6'3", 245. He's probably going to be Irv Smith.
And you're good at this. You're good at this.
6'2" and 3/4, 237. Run some freaky shit at the combine. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I think Kenyon Sadiq's great, but he's not Brock Bowers.
Right.
He's not. He hasn't been Pitts. Like he wasn't even McBride. McBride was a mother at Colorado State.
He's a monster, yeah.
And so I'm like, all right. So Sadiq comes in. Remember how we loved Irv Smith too? Irv Smith was kind of sick, and he didn't do as much as Sadiq's doing right now. And I'm not trying to make that the comp. I'm just saying, like undersized tight ends, unless you're special, like Bowers,
Kincaid.
Kincaid's perfect example from Utah. Yeah. Pac-12. Your perfect example is Kincaid. To how much helium was stuffed in that balloon and how it didn't quite get to the finish. It's just starting to like feel like it's about to pop and get out there. I think Stowers could lead this group in receiving yards from Vanderbilt. And I'm not sure he's a 500-yard receiving guy and as a rookie.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Stowers he's going to come with a ton of experience. He's been at 3 different programs, mega producer. This is the guys I gravitate towards. This is my version of the Harold Fannin type thing. Now, Harold Fannin was on steroids when it comes to production.
Former quarterback, by the way.
Former quarterback, and like he's doing it with Diego Pavia. Like Pavia's not a gunslinger.
Yeah.
Like what would Stowers look like in Oregon in that role that Sadiq has? Like I feel like he would just be a ton. Like the production would be crazy. Sadiq's production's there and it's getting better. So I'm not sitting here claiming Stowers is tight end 1. But I do think that the distance between Stowers and Sadiq are way closer than Stowers in the next handful of tight ends. Right now, early in the process, this will be refined. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving. Like I said, Sadiq is a top 45 pick right now. Stowers, kind of a boom bust prospect, top 100 guy. The next one, Crater is down to an early day 3, just kind of a guy with traits. There's a massive drop off after Stowers.
And that guy is
Max Clare is my number 3 tight end.
Probably. Clare and Jack Andrews from Texas were the 2 sought after guys in the portal this last year, and both of them have kind of flopped, to just call a spade a spade. With Stowers, I will say this: yards per out run in college right now at tight end position in Power 4. He's number 1 at 2.56. After that, it drops down to 2.23, 2.22, and that's Dylan Wade and Tanner Kazoil from Houston. And then overall, Yak Stowers is the Yak king with 336 yards,
which is what we chase out of this position when we're talking about evaluation. Yak and yards per out run. It's playing the hits, baby. It's that nice little intro music that you play at the beginning of the show. It's just playing the hits.
All right, so Sadiq and Stowers, that's tier 1. I would put them close together. I'm not putting a separation point. I don't think Sadiq is that much. How do I phrase it respectfully? I don't want to say he's that much better. Like, I think he's better than Stowers, but projectably, I think they're closer than I think people on the outside believe right now.
Listen, if you can just put their attributes to 100, number one outcome, Sadiq's better.
Sure.
You can't do that. So where they're starting year one as pros is a lot closer than people will expect. We're doing a lot of projecting with Sadiq. We're doing a lot less projecting with Stowers. The ceiling is just not as high. It's just not.
Agreed. So that next group, you brought up Max Clare from Ohio State. My next guy would be Michael Trigg from Baylor, who leads the Power 4 in average depth of target from Baylor at 11.3. Both of these guys currently projected top 80 right now. Clare 44th at Ohio State and Trigg 79th, according to the NFL mock draft database. So that would be the next two guys. I do have Clare number 4. So we're pretty much right there side by side with that.
The one guy I'll bring up. So I like what I've seen from Houston's tight end, Tanner Koziol. Is that how you say it? I'm still
Koziol. I think it's close. We'll figure it out eventually, but
because he's 6'7", 240, and I think this guy might run like 4.75, maybe low 4.7. Like he feels like the big body tight end can kind of do it all, and there's a lot of projecting there. But at this position, given the prospects, I'm projecting. Sue me. I'm just gonna decide now to give guys like him the benefit of the doubt. Giving Justin Jolly the benefit of the doubt, a guy who's been in college for a while, might not have the big size at 6'3", 250, but he's a producer. And at this point, I just don't have a whole lot to sink my teeth into when it comes to this class. Clary's going to get the helium. He's got the Ohio State helmet, but again, sue me. How many times have we done this over the last half decade at tight end with Ohio State guys, Cody? It's just they get loved by the world, and I don't see it, and I don't trust that gut, and I should, because they don't end up panning out. And there's a number of reasons why that can happen. I'm not predicting. I'm not saying I know what's happening, but if you're asking me to project on a guy, I'll project on an athlete, a guy who's doing it at a level that Sadiq is. If you want me to project on Claire, I'd rather not get too crazy. So, but still, he's good enough to be top 5. Trigg is someone, though. You bring up Trigg. I think Trigg could have good helium because I think he might have like speed that you go, oh, whoa. Maybe is it 4.65? Sure. Is it 4.67? Sure. But it could be 4.60. Could be like, oh, whoa. This guy has a little bit more speed than I thought. So I think he's an interesting name that you bring up as well. Andrews, we talked before the show.
Yeah. I think he's going to go back.
He's going to go back. Why wouldn't you just do it again with Arch? It's like, what? So you could be a 5th round pick? Like, go back. So I don't think he comes out.
I think he goes back. He had too good of a year at Cal last year with Mendoza to transfer and not do a lot. And then next year, I mean, tight end's so important to Texas. I just think, as far as my knowledge in covering Texas, I fully believe Jack Andrews. Unless Texas makes the playoff, he goes 100, 100, 100 the next 3 games.
Right.
I think he's going back to Texas, and I think
if he does, he might be tight end 2 in this class. Like, that's how thin I think this class.
Correct. I would ride with you on that. The other name I want to bring up is Lawson Lucky from Georgia. 6'4", 240. Great back end story if you didn't hear it on game day a couple weekends ago. But he's a junior, and there's an interesting thought here. Like at Georgia, you could generally believe that a tight end might stay, and I think that there's still probably a 25% chance he stays at Georgia. But Georgia has since Bowers was there, they've been crushing tight end recruiting. They got one of the top tight ends last year, Ellis Williams, who's on campus right now. Oscar Delp's going to graduate. He's another tight end in this class. The 26 class that they're about to sign in a couple of weeks here for guys that'll be in the winter. They got the number 4 tight end in that class and the number 6 tight end, and they're both massive athletes. I just think that that room's full already, and it's going to keep filling with even better talent. And I think Lucky's had a good enough year in this class. I think that this is a class that Lucky can come out in, but I still think there's a small chance he goes back to school. I think he's a really fluid athlete. He's one that kind of as a freshman, that first year Bowers left, people are like, ooh, like there's something there from that perspective of like, he's not obviously Bowers, but the athleticism that he has and I like his route running quite a bit for a tight end that he's not going to be a guy that's going to be in line, down blocking on ends all day. It's just not what he is. He's more of a space guy like Bowers that can create. And I think if he gets into the right team, he's going to be a fifth round pick probably, but he gets into the right spot. I think Lucky could be a really nice tight end. So I got Lucky next in that group. That's the last name I wanted to bring up.
Lucky's a good name to bring up because I think based on just what you see on film and how the athlete, for whatever reason, call it, what it is, maybe it's just a gut feeling. An NFL coach can fall in love with Lucky as much as anybody. Like, I just think they could see their offense be like, I don't need him to block. I can move him around. I can use him as a big slot. He's athletic. Maybe he runs a 4.59, cracks that 4.6, and it's like, woo. So I think it's a good name to bring up. One last guy that I just have to bring up. I'll do it real quick because I think this guy's a 6th round pick, but I just love watching him play because he just always comes up when this team needs it the most. It's Josh Cuevas from Bama.
Cuevas.
I just don't know if he's going to have, what scouts really get excited about, but he's, 6'3", 250, senior, smart player. I just like this guy. Every time you're watching Tyson scramble, I was like, Cuevas coming up big. I love gamers. And at this position, these are the guys I'm going to spend, my 5th, 6th round pick on and just bring in like these guys that maybe something happens, maybe it doesn't. I don't have them ranked all that high right now. I do have them ranked, like I said, in the early day 3, mid to late day 3. That's kind of where he'll settle. But I got him inside my top 10. I just wanted to bring him up.
There it is. Wide receivers, tight ends, pass catchers. Kind of a top-down view of the class. And obviously we have a while before the Senior Bowl. It's coming quick,
Not
though,
that
Matty.
longer. Ain't that long, brother.
A little bit
like
longer
2
for the
months.
Combine, and a little bit longer before we're in Pittsburgh in the mountains talking about these guys. And I can't wait to get to that. But there's a lot of shows between here and there, and we're going to talk about these guys more in depth. So stay tapped in, stay locked in to the Draft Rankings podcast. We appreciate you. We love you. All platforms, podcast and YouTube, get the Draft Rankings. Twitter, you can listen to it. It's up there on YouTube. It's up on podcast. And remember that not all the episodes will be on the Player Profiler podcast feed. You have to go over to the Draft Rankings podcast feed. And you know what, Maddie? Mini soapbox. I went on the other day and I checked our ratings. Somebody gave us a 1-star rating.
What?
Somebody gave us a 1-star rating. I'll be transparent about it.
What?
Because we were a flat 5-star. 5 stars. That's what we were. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple. And we had like 7 reviews. And somebody came in and gave us a 1-star and it dropped it to like a 4.3.
What?
And I thought to myself, damn. So thank you for the 1-star. You call
Was there a comment?
We'll come back. No comment, just 1 star.
Scumbaggery.
But thank you for the listen. Thank you for the download. We appreciate it.
Give us another chance.
And if you haven't reviewed yet, please go out there and give us 5 stars, because obviously having a 4.3 star rating is not great for the old algorithm or for getting views and listens and downloads and growing, which makes us able to do this forever and always. So we appreciate you. We love most of y'all.
All but one.
We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back on Thanksgiving with a new name for a show. We're talking about something different than just the players. How about the people that are drafting the players? They need to be held accountable, Matty Kiwoom, and we're going to do it.
We're the guys.
We're the guys for the job. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you.
Peace.